Morning, everybody. It's the Beat Me in the Middle podcast. I'm Jackson. This is Justin. We're talking about California.
Yeah, we were talking about the landscape of the West and how much it changes, right? And like if you started at the border, San Diego's a cool place. Southern California's got good weather, but I think San Diego's probably got like damn near perfect weather, and being right by the border, I think one of the stereotypes of San Diego was like, oh, the best tacos. Well, it's right across the border. Like if you were gonna go to, if you're gonna go get something from somewhere and you wanted like authentic whatever, I mean, it's probably per near about as good as it gets.
Let me tell you, I went to Chula Vista for work. We had a conference in Chula Vista in September, and I was joking around with my buddy, my manager. I was like, I'm gonna, you better bring your passport. We're going across the border. And he goes, no, we can't do that. And his wife gets on the phone and goes, I will murder you if you take him across the border. And I said, all right, cool. So we get out of our, conference for the day, and I'm looking at taco spots, and like everything around the hotel was really Americanized. Buffalo Wild Wings and TGI Fridays and stuff. There was a mall close by, but I found this like Tijuana taco spot that was maybe a block down, and we show up there, and it's like this cafeteria style with cutting up the meat coming off of the thing, and
That's what usually.
they had pastor. They had 4 stations, and you just walk up and tell them how many you want, and you just kind of grab as many as you want, and then you go to the cashier. And my manager was like, I can't handle this. Like, this is like, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Institution.
I was like, dude, how many tacos do you want? He's like, I don't know, 3. I'm like, perfect.
We can go like this.
Yeah, no, but I'm comfortable in situations like that, and it was intimidating. Because this was like authentic, like legit, like TJ tacos, Like you said, it was as close to the border as we possibly could be. And those tacos, there was life before those tacos and there's life after those tacos. They were transcendent. They're so stupid good, man. But yeah.
Even the ones by my house, man. Those guys out on the street, dude. I mean, they've been raided a couple times now.
This is one of the things that I love about California and specifically like Southern California, is that we have, I don't know, like we obviously from the influence from being close to Central America, like we have a lot of really good Mexican food, but just being California, being like a port kind of town, with Long Beach and everything, we get the best of everything. Kind of like New York. New York is the same thing. They get the best of European and the Middle East. Like we're the points of the U.S. where everybody comes. We're the hub of everything. But I've had some crazy food in the Midwest. People that have like emigrated to, work in small towns and stuff. But yeah, I love that about California.
No, I think that's one of my favorite things. Again, all the places that between me and you, I mean, there might not be a corner we haven't been to. I know that I've been to the majority of the West. I have family up in North Dakota. I have family
me too.
all over the place. So I mean, and then I've been to Ensenada, I've been to Toronto, been to Chicago, New Orleans. You talk about a melting pot. New Orleans is an awesome place. Philadelphia, DC, all that kind of stuff, and I've seen, there are a couple places. Chicago's pretty diverse, DC, Philadelphia are pretty diverse. It's a different kind of diverse, I would say. Obviously, the Latin community here is a huge influence. I would say maybe like Florida and like Texas, might be about the same. But to add in Chinatown and like our islander influence here, as far as like a lot of the Hawaiian influence that came over and everything. I mean, we have everything, and I think that would be like the one of the biggest, probably at the top of the list for me when it comes to California is just how diverse everything is. And again, just like you said, I can find a really good, authentic, and ethnic place where it's gonna, where you literally have our buddy Masab, right? His family.
Yeah,
It's like eating in their kitchen.
I know.
And they like ran from Pakistan to India, then came here. I'm like, it's about as authentic as it gets, and
Yeah.
it's great, you know. And that
I
is
will say that,
into those small towns. Like my mom
yeah,
should thing she misses the most about living in a 5,500 person town in Oregon
yeah,
is the food.
yeah.
There's nothing. There's no. I mean, nothing. And I'm like, food is important.
Well, this is why that spot in Paso that I was telling you about, like the food up there, there's everything is farm to table. There is very little like fast food. Um, you have to eat fast food after like 9 p.m. though. Nothing is open.
Sure.
If you're like, oh, I'm hungry to eat something. But during the day, during normal, you know, human hours, there's nothing but choice for like farm to table stuff up there. But I have been to small towns like where your mom's at, where it's very meat and potatoes, and there's a lot of choice.
I think my mom's kitchen has the most spice in that entire.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's
Yeah,
because
I'm
she's the
sure.
only one that's not from that town.
Yeah,
Even dude, even the beer, right? Like Rogue Brewery,
yeah,
it's like 15 minutes away. It's silver bullets and paths,
yeah,
and anything more than that, and like that's a little too fancy for me. It's like
yeah,
they're very basic middle line. Even restaurants, dude. There are restaurants that just don't make it sometimes, and it's because they get too fancy. It's like we want sandwiches and steaks. It's like all we really need to.
yeah.
Well, it's whenever I go up there, it's again as we transition up north and everything. What's interesting is you go through San Diego, and I love San Diego. I think everybody, it's hard not to like San Diego, especially if you drink. I mean, mecca of brew, basically. But they have a little bit of everything too, And then you kind of go through a lot before you hit not even LA, right? I mean, you have to go past Pendleton, which is a whole it's like just military city in itself. But then you go through the slew of what is pretty white Republican Orange County, Huntington Beach, all that kind of stuff, which is Newport, which is, I mean, crazy houses, really affluent places. You got Cal State Fullerton and UC Irvine, big time schools, but you're going to find you know, kind of a very particular group of people there, that I know when I go to Orange County, we're going to Orange County, and you know what to expect pretty much, it's a lot of white people in Orange County.
There's one part of this that you're skipping over though is North County, San Diego, because North County is
By like the
like
zoo.
Vista, small town, man, like horses and open.
Back in those hills, yeah, back in those mountains,
Yeah,
there's some
that
cool, yeah.
Vista, I love Vista. I love the Belgian beaver is there, the peanut butter stout. But I like North County a lot. I think that it's this there's this weird like
There's some really good.
there's Orange County and then you just enter this like country, you
Yeah.
know, and then you're in San Diego like proper, But there's it's this weird buffer of land and open space
Well,
and
if they could put the open air, like the open land San Diego Zoo there, there's a
yeah,
bunch of land up there. Yeah.
yeah.
You're just
I love North County.
you're just nestled right up against Pendleton. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you hear gunshots and stuff, it's the good kind. Don't worry about it.
Well, and they're taking down the reactor too, the
There,
nuclear was it Left Coast Brewing, the nuclear chichis.
yeah.
That was one of my favorite beers from them. I love that.
You know, so and we're just talking about the coast too, right? Because if you stayed along the coast, you'll hit Newport and Orange County and Huntington Beach and all that kind of stuff. But if you went to the coast but then made a right, now you're creeping towards Riverside. And then again, that's kind of I think that Riverside's dynamic is changing a lot too. They're
A
actually
lot.
they're making more of those track homes with golf courses and man-made lakes and stuff out there too. And but then you still have some old school, I don't even know what to call them. There's kind of still some backwoods hillbilly out there. Like in Paris, like I know that there's still dirt bikes, there's still racing, there's still, people like and a lot of the big mechanic shops are out in Riverside too, just because the land is cheap and they have a bunch of stalls where they can make stuff. There's Netflix shows that are based out there, and they're kind of all around Paris and stuff like that. Just land, you know.
Is that partly because I mean, like we talked about like the speedways last time, but getting out to Vegas, out to Arizona, like it's out that way. It's a little bit quicker to get places out of California, right?
It could be. I mean, it's always been a little bit more affordable over there too. And then as they've developed, like Rancho Cucamonga, and Ontario's skyrocketing right now. But they actually plan for 3, 4, and 5 bedroom houses. They plan for bigger families and bigger lot. My grandmother's house was huge, and it was in Rancho Cucamonga. And it's like, yeah, my little, my house was only a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and then we had to add a whole thing on, and that's by the coast. So I mean, we just didn't make as big of houses. And as you move inland, because these neighborhoods are coming secondary to these, they're able to plan better. So you have bigger houses and bigger properties, and they don't cost. I mean, it's still, it's still California and everything, so it still costs. But a lot of our guys that work for us, Ignacio, just bought a huge house in Cucamonga with some of his, his family and everything. And our guys, being of the, Latin culture and stuff, they got a lot of kids, man. And I don't think they know what latex is. So I mean, it's just like they are fruitful, man. And you can't really, you gotta, so they move east and they commute in, but they got big houses. And so I mean, the demographic is really interesting out in like Riverside-ish, because it's kind
Well,
of,
my uncle lives in Wildemar.
it's really white and Hispanic, man. So it's
Yeah,
interesting that we have all this tension when there are multiple places throughout Southern California where that is like the biggest demographic we have of the
sure,
mixing of those two.
sure, yeah. My uncle's house in Wildemar he has a badass pool, and I think his house is like 7 bedrooms. It doesn't look like a 7 bedroom house from outside. It looks like,
Like
you
it's
know,
backwards.
it's laid out.
Or is it just super unassuming?
It's super unassuming.
Okay.
Yeah, but the whole neighborhood it's truck homes, and um,
Is it like HOA tract homes, or they just went in and built homes?
I don't think there's an HOA. It's public streets, and I don't think there's an HOA.
I think we need to pump the brakes on HOA shit and tract homes like
That's not going to happen anytime soon. HOAs are here to stay,
that.
unfortunately. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I think I'd love to get into HOA. You want to get into HOAs? I'd love to get into
I
HOAs.
think we need to have an episode based on like our
Our real estate experience.
I was gonna say our professional, like what we do.
Yeah,
I think we could open up a lot of shit on
I'll say this:
both sides.
HOAs on paper, kind of like communism, look real good,
Oh, they're just like unions. Unions are great, but
but yeah,
yeah.
HOAs make a lot of sense. Everyone's kind of collectively putting money into a pot so that when things break or when things need to be fixed or events, like the
Except
concept of it makes so much sense.
until you get a little
Then
man that turns into Stalin,
and yeah,
ruins.
every HOA that I've ever been close to. Now I live in a very like a quite large HOA. There's there's 3 HOAs here. There's the main, there's our developer, and then there's the other developer. So there's a main HOA and then 2 sub HOAs. And Melissa was the president of our HOA, our sub HOA for a while, and it was a nightmare. Hated it,
I bet.
and because things just like she was so like easy about things, like, oh, there's a leak in the roof. We are flush, this HOA, flush. Okay, like that, and they're brand new homes. Nothing's broken yet. There's a leak, and it was like, oh well, we need to get 3 bids. Why?
Can you just fix it?
Just fix it. They got it. They got a couple bids, and they were like, one of them was high, one of them was low, and they're like, well, I think we need to get a 3rd bid. Why? Just fix it. Oh well, this one's $2,000, and this one's like $1,300.
Wow.
Oh
Is that gonna
no, we are not waiting. So because like president was like, she had no power. Everyone has the same voting power. It's just like kind of figurehead type of thing. And she goes, fix it. Oh well, I think we need to get another bid. It's gonna be another month before we can get a bid. And these people are like, we have a leak. Like, I know it doesn't rain that often, but like we're going into this rainy season, like it needs to get fixed. And the HOA is just like, I think we need to think on this a little bit more. I think we need some more research. And it's like just pulling.
Where's good old fashioned dictatorship? Okay,
I'm telling you, man.
That's where democracy fails.
But again, it is nice.
Regular people with no experience have power.
But it is nice living in a place where, like, if the sky came falling and the roof was broken, or if a light pole fell down, we had a tree, 2 trees get blown down in that like hurricane wind that we had a couple weeks ago. And the HOA hopped to it, man. They called the landscapers. Landscapers came out. They took the tree out. level, they took care of it within hours of it happening. There's great things that happen. The pools are always clean. The bathrooms to the pools are always clean. The barbecues are always clean. Like they maintain this property very, very well. But little things like, oh, we need to get multiple bids. No, stop it. These are the people that live here. These are the people that funded this.
Okay, but I mean, if we open that up, right? I mean, that's government to a T, where you can't
I
get
know.
anything done, and it's fine. But we live in a place now where you want your cake and you want to eat it too, and then tell people how we should eat it. And it's like
Sure.
you can't have it your way always all the time. And if you're gonna make a decision, well, you're gonna have to compromise. And I think that's a big thing. Even right now, like if we go back to I mean California in general, I think if we look at it, we're probably not probably we're one of the most overregulated states in the nation, if not the most. And I don't think it's for good reason anymore. I think initially, the state code and a lot of the things we have, their initial things, just like Facebook, right? Facebook's initial thing of bringing people together that aren't in your neighborhood. Sure, face value was great. Now, it's a cesspool of nonsense. So I mean, all this government regulation, is there a need for it? Of course there is, but so much so now that life comes to a stop sometimes, and that's where it needs to end, and that's where it's inefficient. And even when we track back to I think people are finally getting to the point where they're not willing to trade safety for freedom, and I think COVID was a big thing where it comes.
Not willing to trade safety for freedom.
So basically what my point is going to be
Okay.
is that the safer you are, usually the less freedom that you have. Because it comes into regulation, it comes into more policing, it comes into more oversight and stuff in general, right? One of my big things is that I heard of an initiative, only in California, of course, where a certain year, any new cars that are sold in California would come with governors on them, and so that the cars could not exceed 70 miles an hour. And that bothered me. And the whole thing has to do with safety, where it's like, okay, well, we're having all these people that are speeding, causing big accidents and everything else. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's not up to you. If I want to, as if the car culture here isn't under just a complete duress because of carbon emission standards and environmental crap anyway. But now you're gonna put something in the car before I even have the freedom of buying it, and the dealer, by the way, and the manufacturers are still going to charge whatever it is, but the state is now going to put a governor on it. So now you're paying for the car to do all this kind of stuff. You're basically neutering it, but you still have to pay for everything. And my whole thing is, if I'm speeding or if I'm being reckless and the police catches me, write me a ticket, do whatever the law says and everything else, but do not handcuff me before I even buy. You're taking away my freedom of purchase and and it's just, again, the same thing can be said with the COVID thing and the lockdowns. All of that stuff was on the air and caution of safety, health safety, and then, the hospitals being overrun and certain things like that. But there were so many things we did because we thought it made us safer. But they locked us up. I mean, even me and
Yeah.
you, we had a couple nights where we were in Hermosa walking around, dude, and it was a ghost town because we couldn't be out past the. Are you shitting me? So it's just, I think we have a lot of this stuff where people are, firstly, they're realizing that the world is not that bad. It's not that dangerous out there. And then again, if you overregulate and you emphasize safety, it's way back to our very first episode, man. Taking monkey bars at a playground.
Yeah.
Now you don't even have the freedom
Yeah.
to do the things that you want to do. So again, I think everything, every mode of safety comes with a sacrifice of freedom. And the HOAs being the same thing. You can't. They're going to prioritize everything and keep everything centralized and all that other kind of stuff, and you lose your individuality of your home. Same thing with up in Palos Verdes, super affluent place, up on a hill, looks down on everybody. There's 3 cities up there, 2 of which have massive HOAs and architecture juries, and we have people that come down that want us to build for them, and we're
Dude,
like, oh, we're up on the hill.
The
I'm like,
art jury,
where
the
up
art jury is the biggest group of thugs.
can't even You can't even paint your front door a certain color without getting them to approve it, which will take a month if you're lucky. And it's like, and that's private. That's your, they were like, oh, well, it's my house. Yeah, but it's in their city. That's such a stupid argument to make. You know, I mean, at least I know for my house and my city, I can call any of my guys and do whatever the hell I want when I want to do it. As long as I don't need to pull a permit, and sometimes I don't, I can pretty much do whatever I want. And that's, am I responsible for everything? Do I have to maintain my own stuff? Do I get to call anybody and this group of people that have that? No, I don't. But I can do whatever the hell I want. So again, you play the game of freedom and responsibility and
Yeah.
accountability versus having that localized pot where cases can be made for both. You know, it's just the greater scheme of thing. It just seems like I think it's a little unfortunate that we're building all this housing, but
Hmm.
it seems like the only type of housing that we're building is multifamily and tract homes, and HOAs are inevitable. Versus like our neighborhoods, the one you grew up in, the one I'm still in. There's no HOA here. It's still tract home. Every fourth home in my neighborhood looks exactly the same. Same layout because that was what was efficient. But we don't need an HOA for that. We just need a city that controls everything. I don't know why we're incapable of building new cities and not having them be HOAs that take hundreds of dollars a month to maintain everything. Like have a city, have a public works, and do stuff make cities the same way we've always made them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Because how many amazing stories are there of HOAs? Like great ones. I mean, I think it's skewed a little bit to just the nonsense you got to do put up with.
so there. I mean, just off the cuff, the idea of an HOA, the idea of maintaining a uniform look to the neighborhood, one house not dragging down the values of the rest of the neighborhood. Like they again, just like we talked about schooling, like they're they're not. You don't go to school to excel. You don't go to school to like. They want you to be right in the middle. And this like vanilla era of like housing that we've been in for the last 20 years or so, like that's what it is. I mean, like there was a house, I don't know if you remember it, on Anza in South Torrance. They two neighbors, one of them lost a bet and had to paint his house like the Laker purple and gold.
Okay.
And he did it. He painted his whole freaking house like purple and gold, and it was super ugly. And the other neighbors were complaining about it. They ended up painting it like a third color. Like the thing was like a Technicolor dream coat type of thing. And it was really, and it was on Anza, not just like in a neighborhood. It was on
Yeah.
the main drag, right? And I think about stuff like that. Those are all track homes, and they can do whatever they want. They can paint their house whatever they want. I'm sure you've seen, I've seen in person too, houses on a block that are just overgrown with grass and weeds and vines, and like it's like, oh, that's shitty. And even though you're smart enough to know that that house doesn't represent the whole neighborhood, it still affects your overall subconscious feel of the neighborhood. When you see a house like that, you go, oh, there's something about this neighborhood. It either makes you feel like this is the homeowners care less. It makes you feel like there's like more older people. So if you were a young family moving into a neighborhood, you probably wouldn't want a house like that on your neighborhood with your kids. Like there's, even though they're not front of mind, that seeing houses like that affect your overall feeling of that neighborhood. And having HOA, having standards, can't, your lawn can't be overgrown. It is like bowling with the railing with the guards. It is like using a Smith machine rather than a free barbell. Like
Yeah.
there's control there, and you're staying within the means. Like you're staying within a certain lane.
Do you
Again, like
do you
yeah,
think that so I mean cities still have municipal codes and things can only get so bad, start getting notices from the city. They're not as aggressive as HOAs, sure. But things can only get so bad. And I get the whole idea of appearances and property value. Like even on our block, um there's only one house on my block that has iron fencing and bars on the windows and stuff like that. When they moved in, they put wrought iron railings around the whole front yard, all bars on the windows, you know, put in iron stuff around the front porch and all that. Like our neighborhood is safe. We don't have a lot of bad stuff happening. Now we have this one house on the block that has like iron rods on the around the like guarding their house and on the windows, and it doesn't look great for the neighborhood for people that are buying in, that are coming in thinking that having the appearance of we have to put bars on our windows. Our neighborhood has never been that way. So I mean it does have that. I mean, now I've lived next to him forever, so it's not really that big of a thing anymore. It's just a part of it. But it was a thing when they did that, when they moved in. So there was kind of a connotation to the stuff that they were doing and the appearance that it had for the neighborhood and everything.
I showed property to a lady that I showed her a neighborhood that didn't have bars on the windows, and she said, "Oh, I just don't feel safe without bars on the windows." And I said, "This isn't that. This isn't a neighborhood that needs that." I said that it's not a thing. She's like, "Well, I'd feel more comfortable if there was bars." And I was like, "Okay." And I started showing her places that were in different neighborhoods. You know, not worse, but just different neighborhoods.
I don't inherently think that that stuff is bad. You know, it does have that feeling and and that kind of stuff, but that's life sometimes for some people. You know, that house and the people that are struggling obviously to maintain it or to do something, that's a part of life. And
Yeah.
it's just it's interesting when you talk about, you know, culturally. So like as we drive up past Orange County, you very quickly get into Long Beach. Long Beach is such a huge city, you know. But if you're at Long Beach and the 710, that's one of the only places I've been shot at in my life. It's not great. It's very not great. You know, especially around, I think I was off of Willow, something like that. It not great, you know.
Yeah. I think a lot of people forget what cities butt up against each other. Because I know, I mean, even growing up in the beach cities, I didn't realize that like Gardena and Long Beach, and you know, there was like these like Westchester, like there are cities that border much higher crime cities, or that border that like the border between a city that has historically lower crime, that there's these really different neighborhoods just on like one block away. And Long Beach is one of those that I've you know, obviously like growing up in the South Bay, like I'd been to Long Beach 1,000 times, and then when I got into real estate and I started showing property, and some of the people that I worked with didn't have as high a budget as others, and we looked at places in Harbor City and Wilmington and you know, North Long Beach and stuff. I got to learn real quick the neighborhoods, and like, oh, this block not so bad. Next block over, you don't want to be there. Well, there's parts of Whittier here that are unincorporated those are the spots that you want to go for 4th of July, because when you call it, but it's like it's this double edged sort of like, it's kind of no man's land, like anything goes over there. But if you call the police, Pico might show up, LA sheriff might show up. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know who's going to show up. Whittier PD might show up, but that no one has skin in the game to like write tickets or to actually like patrol that area on a regular basis. And so it's cool on 4th of July, but it's like not cool when shit pops off down there. And luckily it's not a bad neighborhood. It's just unincorporated. It's like Torrance. It's like that strip of Western. It's not a bad neighborhood. It's just
It's not
unincorporated.
great.
It's not bad though. It's not bad. Like there are bad neighborhoods that are in that unincorporated umbrella. There's parts of San Pedro that are bad, and then there's
Yeah. I mean, there's one street you either are above or below Gaffey, and it's massively different.
But even getting even more granular than that, like below Fifth and above Grand, like there's this really hot spot in San Pedro that you just, I've never seen a neighborhood look so unassuming and be very like dicey, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like my perspective of things, because I went to Torrance schools for a while, but I never lived in Torrance. So we lied about my address the entire time to go there. I was in private school right there on Delamo and Anza for like first, second, and third grade. One classroom per grade, 13 to 15 kids maybe. But then it got too expensive, so we had to, you know, move out of there. And then I was in Torrance schools, you know, and then I had to go back to Gardena. And the culture switch from Torrance schools to Gardena, you know, or Torrance Unified to LAUSD or anything like that, you know. I think at Gardena, there were probably 5 white people there, and I was one of them, which was like a I don't know, an easy thing and then sometimes not an easy thing. I kind of just hung out with the baseball guys because I played baseball. And inherently, a lot of them were just Hispanic because that's who played baseball. And there. To be very clear, there were only two races. There was black and there was Hispanic. And within the blacks and Hispanics, I know of at least four major gangs that were at that school. And depending on the day, there was a 300-person riot one day. Had had nothing to do with me. I mean that was interesting how you'd only see the Bloods and Crips on the same side when they were going against all the Hispanic people. And I was like, "Oh, we're together today, right? Let's talk. Let's see what happens tomorrow." And people would jump the fence and come in, and then jump back out and run. And even in our league, when I played, we played against San Pedro, Banning, Carson, Narbonne, and then Washington. And Washington was rough. Like that's where Friday was filmed. Ice Cube's neighborhood is in. I mean, but you had to learn to deal with people and to go places and everything. So I mean, it was really interesting for me being in a place kind of in a traditional sense of Torrance where you had the jocks and you had the pretty people and you had the nerds and you had like all these little factions, right? Then you go to Gardena and none of that shit matters. That's a
Right.
totally different thing of what matters and what's important. But I've had many times in my life where I've been to colleges, right? I went to El Camino, I went to Harbor, I went to West, I went to Dominguez. I've been all over the place. So I pretty much chameleon like wherever I go. But it's, just California stuff
That's
in
wild.
general, I mean, I still at the end of the day, I still think the integration is as good as it gets. I still think the melting pot thing is as good as it gets. The one stuff that I hope that changes, I really think we need to take a look at the governmental overreach of things. I think while we still need to push for, environmental stuff, we really need to start doing models or testing to see if the stuff that we actually devote this money to is worthwhile because we're just, losing money. I really think we need to start trying to keep companies here because companies just keep leaving. And it's not the company's fault, you know. It's that you know that they're overregulated and overtaxed and it's just I think that's a major thing. I mean, and right now that stupid high-speed rail, man, from Anaheim to LA Union, it's like $6.9 billion. It's 30 miles. I question the necessity, man. It's just insane. And all of that is tax money.
Just because of the Olympics, though, that they're pouring money into LA for or into California for the Olympics. But every Olympic site does this. They spend tons and tons of money. They finish projects that don't necessarily need to be finished. They start and finish things or not finish things that were never really planned, that didn't really make sense, and it's all for show. Like we're on this world stage. That rail kind of feels like it falls in there.
But I wonder what the homeless population is going to look like when it starts in LA. Gavin's going to clean it up as much as he did San Francisco that one weekend when that dude came over. See, it's all smoke and mirrors, man, which is just completely disingenuous.
You gotta do something though.
I guess.
Well, I mean, like if you're 8 years old and your room is dirty and your mom tells you to clean your room, last ditch effort, you're gonna throw everything under the bed. Like that. And this is what I expect to see when the Olympics come. They're gonna come faster than we're ready for it, and they're gonna have first class flights to Florida for all these homeless people. Like they're gonna do something drastic to do it. When I worked at Starbucks in Redondo on the border of Torrance, and they would bounce unhoused the population there. They would just drive them into Harbor City and drop them off. That's what they did. They'd go down by the 110, drop them off, and then it would take them about a week, 3 days to get back. And that's not the answer,
Obviously not.
but it worked. I mean, like for
Yeah,
like the point of what they were doing was, I don't want you to be here right now. I'm gonna put you over there. It's gonna take you a while to get back. It's like with a dog playing catch. Just throw the tennis ball a little farther, you know. And that's what I'm expecting for the Olympics. Santa Monica has so many homeless people because it is part of the best weather
That in Venice.
And yeah, in Venice, yeah, there was a in the LA River going through Downey under the. I guess that's the one. Yeah, it's the 105. There was a massive tent city under the freeway in like up on the sides of the river and under the river. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger every day that I would drive by after dropping the kids off at school. And then when the rains were coming, I kept driving by and they'd move one of them up to higher ground, like one of them. But so by the time the rain came, they had moved out of the way, and it only took them about 3 days to like congregate back in there. But yeah, dude, like it's wild out there. I'm super curious to see if and when they're gonna do something before the Olympics to just for the optics of it. Where are they gonna put them? You know?
The weird thing that I thought of was Gavin was emptying out of prison, and I was like, "There's a lot of empty rooms."
Well, and this is the thing. Back in the day, that's why vagrancy laws were put into effect. A lot of cops were advocates for these vagrancy laws because it got homeless people off the street, got them a place to sleep and a couple meals, and they would just keep churning, pick up someone, vagrancy, take them, get them fed, get them a place to sleep, and then kick them out. And I don't think that's the answer is to clear out a whole cell block and then put them away. But Jesus, like
What else is there? They haven't figured out what, you know. Have you ever rode? I did it one time, but I got on at 182nd, and from
got on what?
there, the I don't know if we want to call it a subway, the train that goes down the 110.
You got on at 182nd?
Yeah, there's a station right there at by the Home Depot on 182nd and Vermont.
There's a train station there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people from the South Bay, if you're going to like a Kings game or a Laker game, you can go park there and get on the train, and it'll take you all the way down the 110. And it drop.
People from Redondo start at the Marine Station. Excuse you. There's a that we don't
where they ended it too, so that the other neighborhoods couldn't conveniently go to the beach.
Not in my backyard, Justin.
Exactly.
Not in my backyard.
See,
I don't want people.
You and I are a couple miles
city.
away. But it's a very significant couple miles.
I don't want people from the inner city to be able to just hop on a train and end up on my doorstep. But if you live in Wilmington or Harbor City, you can just jump on the number 7 bus and go right to the Redondo Pier because Redondo is for the people. But Manhattan and Hermosa, never.
Exactly.
Never.
But so I got on the subway, right? And I was with one of my uncles, and we were going to a King game. That's a wild ride, man. That subway is an experience. Like, because again, you're going through South Central, you're going through Watts, and there are people that just ride the train all day.
Justin,
they don't have anywhere to go.
I took the train from the Marine Station all the way to Washington in downtown.
Sure.
For the Laker parade in 2010. And I have ridden that train my whole life. From the moment that it opened up, I have been riding that train. My mom worked in downtown LA. I used to, in the summer, hop on the train, green to blue to red to 7th and Metro. And because her building was literally across the street, kitty corner from 7th and Metro. I used to take those trains, go have lunch with my mom, and then ride them back. I used to go out to Hollywood before the purple line, on the red line to go to shows. I know that train really, really well. This was a very different experience, Justin. This was packed like a Japanese, business train, packing people in. The doors barely closed. We're all, like this.
Sardines.
The entire ride on that blue line. Like a pickpocket's dream, right?
Oh, sure.
And that was crazy. Yeah, that train is wild. And that is why. That's the motivation why that not in my backyard, that whole NIMBY bullshit. That's why that's a thing. The fact that we have the Crenshaw line, we have the Expo line, it's I think it's interesting now that it hasn't been extended. They're going to extend it. That's the plan. But it's not going to go into the beach cities. It's going to curve back up into Torrance, and it's going to end up at the Torrance transit station. The land is too expensive, and they're not going to do eminent domain for a train like that. That's wild.
Let me put this one to you though too. public transportation, I think that Scott Galloway actually said that he wasn't opposed to the idea of that mandatory, like, 2 years of military service out of high school, which I think is an
Even
interesting
if it
topic,
was reserve.
because I think yeah, oh, no. Well, I think that you'd have to create, like, 2 lines, right? You'd have to create this one area of just kids doing their 2 years, and these aren't gonna be the ones we ship out, these aren't gonna but, we are gonna teach them standards and responsibilities and physical fitness and those kind of things and do the little stuff, you know? And then you have this other area of, like, if you think that this is for you guys, you can transfer over here, and this one will take you the military route. And so I think that it's not bad, but you can't send just regular kids to Marine boot camp in Louisiana. Like, they're not going to make it. You have to.
They sent them to Vietnam.
That was a different generation, man.
I get it,
But
but
I'm just
like
saying, you gotta have a lesser of, like, these are the ones that are just doing their stuff, and I think that's the only way it'll, like, pass is what I'm saying. You have to have a little bit less of one because kids barely even do PE now, and you're gonna make them do obstacle courses and, like,
yeah,
they can't even they don't have change in locker rooms anymore with some of these states.
I know.
You're all gonna sleep and you're all gonna shit in the same room, and it's like it could be a huge emotional shock, so you have to have a lesser, right? But
Sure.
to the other extent, I feel like I think I would have a whole day with my kids once they reach a certain age where we're taking the bus all day. We're taking the subway all day long because I think it's good for you.
I am for.
You need to see the area that we live in, the landscape that we live in, the people that are using this to get by so that when I buy your little spoiled ass car one day, you realize what some people go through.
I can't tell you how many people I went to high school with whose parents would not allow them to take the bus.
I
They and
about
now, that with Uber, with like the ease of like calling a car. The one thing is like the bus takes longer. Takes forever
a little bit,
to,
yeah, yeah.
I during the time where I did not have a license because it was suspended, I had to take the bus like primarily, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was working at Starbucks and I had to get to Culver City and I had to get back. And I got a ride there, but I had to take the bus back and I didn't know what buses to take. So I ended up taking 3 buses that took me wildly out of the way, but I didn't have to like
That's an adventure.
I didn't have to get off on in places that I wasn't familiar with, you know? So I took this like Gardena transit to LA to the LAX like little transit, and then I took the 215 down PCH, and then I got on like at Torrance Boulevard, and I was talking to a buddy of mine that takes the bus all the time, and he goes, "Man, how long did that take you?" I was like, "It took 3 hours to get to like Wilmington to like Harbor City," and he goes, "Oh, you should have just taken this bus and this bus. That would have just like cut right through." I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I didn't know, you know." One thing I will like tell you is that in New York, I didn't know. It's confusing because like there's like the A train with like the little star is like gonna skip every other stop, and the ones with the E is gonna go like skip like 6 stops at a time. Like it gets confusing, and if you don't know it, you're gonna get on the wrong train. I got on the wrong train once, and it took me into the Bronx, and I was like, well, I skipped 12 stops, and I didn't know I was gonna go, so now I gotta wait and get back. But the people they're not nice. But the people in the station, if you ask them a question, they'll tell you exactly what train to take. They're not nice about it, but you will get the answer that you need. And we don't really have that. There's no one doing that. They have the little buttons now that you can like ask the dispatch, but
No,
there still isn't like a great app or anything for people to navigate public transit.
well, even like the last time I went to Chicago was with Chrissy and Leo, right? And I've been to Chicago. I've been on the L, which is like a whole experience, right? I mean, what's interesting is if you go to Wrigley, Wrigley's in a nice part of town. Everybody walks to the game. You can get off subway, walk to the game. Everybody's in good spirits. You take the L to the southern part of Chicago, and it's completely different, and then we took an Uber there, and we were leaving, and I told her, I said, "Hey, let's take the L back." Well, we're gonna take the train. I don't think Leo's ever. I said, "Yeah, we're taking the train. Let's go. We're gonna get on the train. Everything's gonna be fine, and don't worry about it." I said, "Because guess what? You know who's all on the train right now? Everybody from the baseball game we were just at.
Literally.
Everybody from
Yeah.
that game. It was a sold out crowd. Everybody's there.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by people that were just at the game. I was like, we're fine. I said, now, if you get off the train in downtown Chicago, you need to walk around with your eyes open and your ears open. Like that's one of the things too, is that I think when you go through taking the subway, going on the bus, whatever else, you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention, especially, if it's in certain parts. Just life situational awareness is something that you're keying into. I'm out in public, anything can kind of happen. I have to be ready. But if all you are is in the backseat of mom and dad's car your entire life, or in your own car, you're gonna feel super anxious in these scenarios where you're not familiar with them. And it's like, you know what? No, today we're taking the bus everywhere. Today we're taking the train everywhere. And you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention to the people that are walking in. You need to pay attention to the people that are sitting down. You need to try and listen to conversations and peaks in people's voices to see if that's confrontational or not, or how that conversation's going. You just have to be able to survey the world around you. And, it's good for you. It's not bad for you to get into the world and have to be, and we're in the perfect place for that. You can get on that train and you could see almost every single culture that is in LA in one train ride and see how everybody interacts. And again, going back to one of the good things of California, that is a good thing. We're not being in a sheltered place. Go out and be with people. Go and see how it is. Be safe, pay attention, but go and experience all this stuff. We're in one of the few places where you can take a drive around LA or a train around LA and see a little bit of everything. And we're only gonna be better as a society if we go around and talk and see everybody, because that's the point. If you never leave the beach cities, you're gonna be pretty uncultured and you're not gonna know where you are. And if you ever have to get on the train, or if you're in a bad spot where you have to get home or whatever, it's not gonna be the end of the world for you. But these kids are anxious because they don't go through
Yeah.
anything anymore.
Definitely.
It's like people are on the bus and the train every day. Get your ass on the train, get your ass on the bus, you'll be fine. But pay attention when you're there, you know?
Well,
I
especially
don't
now,
know. Like I
like
said,
with
I'm
the price of parking.
oh yeah. Gas now. I mean, we pay more for gas than anywhere in the nation. And don't go to any other state. Don't go to Nevada, Arizona.
Yeah, no, we had people in town from out of state, and they're like, "Oh my god, how much is gas there?" Oh, it's like $1 cheaper where they were.
Sometimes
It's
more
like,
than that.
yeah,
It's a whole different thing when you don't need a slush fund of tax money.
yeah.
I just
They also don't have the emissions stuff, like the gas pumps. They're just pumps. They don't have the shut offs, like the fancy like sleeves that go in and keep the vapors out. You could smell the gas station.
Well, that's funny. We were in Phoenix, and I went to a gas station to fill up the rental car beforehand, and
Yeah,
it had this little cone on it and stuff. I don't know what the hell it was, and I was putting it in
yeah,
there and it would pump for a little bit and turn off, and pump for a little bit and turn off. And my mom was there. I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong,
yeah,
but my first day pumping gas, and she came out. She goes, "Oh, you don't know about that?" I was like, "What do you mean I don't know about it?" She goes, "Okay." She was like, "So there's this little cone." She goes, "You have to flip it the other way." She goes, "It covers the hole so fumes don't come out."
yeah.
I was like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah." She's like, "It was a thing where back in the day we didn't have that, and you would be sitting there filling up gas, and you would just like
Oh yeah,
it all." And she's like, "They made these little cones, and if the cone isn't in there and like wrapped around it, it won't
yeah,
pump." And I'm like,
yeah,
"Wow!" And I was
yeah,
I was a block away from the airport, like so. It's not like I was in a
yeah, yeah.
far out of town. I went a block away from the airport, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
I just saw a TikTok video of this Gen Z. She was military, like super smart, and she's like, "I'm not stupid, but I can't figure out how to turn this pump on. Like nothing. There was no buttons. Like
Like
they
the
had
lever she had to pull up.
the lever,
Yeah.
and she had to go get the guy, and the guy's like, oh, we go, and she's like, oh, it's like, yeah, none of the buttons work. He goes, there are no buttons. What are you talking about? It's a gas pump. There's a lever, and there's a lever. Yeah, it's like, oh, she's like, I feel so stupid. She's like, I am college educated.
Yeah. That's a life experience thing. That's not
I
an
know,
educational thing.
I
Even
know.
for me, man, when I go see my mom in Oregon, every time I pull to the gas station, I always get out.
Yeah,
And but I'm like, it's full service. I was like,
yeah,
I even had to tell one of the guys, like, I feel weird about it. I gotta do it, don't worry about it. And he like, but the reason they do it is interesting. You know, for the most part, it's unemployed people where they're like, hey, if you don't have a job, work full service at a gas station. I was
Yeah.
like, it's a great idea, to employ them to help out the community, to get them around people and talking to people, give them something. I was like, makes total sense. And they'll just like reach in for your card, swipe the card, pump for you, like, whatever else.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I think we should plan on doing an episode about real estate and HOAs and construction.
A, a show just on insurances in general, like every car, house, and medical. Insurance is such a huge thing right now. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, the past couple times that I've had to use insurance, everything is more expensive if they're charging the insurance company. Like, I'll take my car in, and the first thing they'll ask you is like, "Are you paying it for yourself or going through insurance?" And if it's me, drastically less. It's parts, labor, done. If it's the insurance company, twice as much. I'm like, that's that's a problem. And it's like you're overcharging the insurance companies. So now the insurance companies are going to raise all their premiums to try and cover all of this over expenditure and over that you're charging. And it's like I even saw one report where it's like 30 grand if you have insurance and you're going to have a baby in a hospital, it's like 30 grand. If you just go to the emergency room because you're having a baby and you don't have insurance, they'll charge you like $1,000. And it's like, why is it $29,000 more if you have insurance and you go into a hospital? You
Because
know,
they can.
then my see, then that's a problem. And that's not the insurance's problem. That's the hospital's problem. You know how much Advil is or Tylenol in a hospital? It's like $10 for 2 pills.
Yeah.
That's the hospital charging for that. Same thing with these body shops and stuff. Body shops are charging the insurance company a bunch of money. And it's like, why are that whole Palisades? You're going to tell me right now that that's not going to be a fire area now? If insurance companies even get back into that area? Same thing with Altadena.
We'll get farther into this, but I just read an article about legal non-conforming, like especially residential properties, and that whole concept of legal non-conforming is so interesting to me. All of Malibu, all those old septic, all the places like right on the shore are were legal non-conforming, and they will never be able to be built like that. So many houses that would never get approved now, and the all of the low tax bases that are now going to be bumped up to tax base because of new construction, that it's wild.
I don't think they should do that either. I think you got to meet those people halfway.
Sure.
I mean, because all that stuff, even for them, right? If they didn't make any adjustments to the home and it's just artificial inflation because of the market, we've been voting down property taxes every single time they come up. It's like you can't, and those properties, just because of the dirt and the view, they're worth millions. But then the insurance company only wants to hand out 600 or 700 grand, especially people that lost everything. What? Now they have to rebuild and you're going to fuck them on property? Like, come on. You need to be realistic with this shit. And then what's crazy too, right? Is there's a bunch of athletes now, Shohei Ohtani, a bunch of other guys, and everybody's getting kind of upset about the Dodgers deferring all this money. But there was, I don't know who it was, but there was literally a woman in California that's responsible for it's either tax collection or finances of some kind. And she complained once the Shohei Ohtani contract came out that dude's making $700 million a year, and like 685 million of it is deferred till his contract is done, till he's gone, because California would have took half that shit. They would have given it to him. And she was like, oh, the California taxpayers are missing out on this. Like, you're taking all his money. Like, seriously? I said, I thought that was the smartest thing they ever did, was for him to defer receiving all that money until he's not here anymore. And I'm like, but everyone's going to go cheer for his ass. You're all going to buy his tickets. You're going to buy all his merchandise, and you don't give a flying fuck that you didn't take half of his lifetime earning money. And every single guy that they've signed so far has had some amount of deferred money. Some of that is to stay under the luxury tax that the teams have to operate under, but some of it too, I don't blame them for not collecting money until they get the hell out of here, because you're going to take all their shit. And I'm like, if that's not a problem, right? And she was so unashamedly like, oh, we're missing out on millions. I'm like, you're not playing. You're not doing anything. I was like, and the Dodgers just made back all of his contracts, 700 million just this year. So they don't even need the money anymore. But you're going to pay sales tax to go watch his ass. You're going to pay sales tax to buy all of his stuff. You have any idea the level of tourism that he's bringing to LA because he's here, yet you still want to take half his damn money? Like, if that's not a problem, and he's the precipice of it. But think of Hollywood and every other industry that we have. You gotta stop. Otherwise, these people are gonna, or they're gonna get smart and they're just gonna leave, or they're not gonna take in all of their stuff until they leave anyway. It's you gotta fix the system and stop doing what you're doing, and definitely stop just saying that you're gonna take all of his crap, just because he's making it. It's like, holy shit. It's that's something that needs to be fixed. It needs to change. You can't
Sure.
you can't just go after people on the money, or they'll just leave again, or smart people will find ways around it. I'm curious what's going to happen with New York, man, with all
Yeah.
the stuff they have
It'll
going
be
on. And I'm like, hey, good luck. I'm like, if everybody leaves, whose fault is it? You need to talk about it better. You need to have a better plan than just
yeah.
walking in pretty much with a governmental gun to their head saying that we're going to take all your money. Wild times, man. Wild times.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Looking forward to the future conversations. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Watch our YouTube shorts. We're out there. Our handles are in the episode description. Hit us up. Let's get into some arguments. Let's talk peacefully. See if we can meet in the middle. A good Corona to you, Justin.
Good Corona to you too.